scratched out happy birthday and sent it back to us for like Merry Christmas card. So now we scratched it back and sent it back to her. It's like, it's the best part.
That's awesome. Really great.
Yeah, I knew about Fitbits too.
Okay, Lauren, I won't admit anybody else in until you're ready. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Should you look on her phone?
So let's see. So I'm going to play the drumming, the shamanic drumming that I like in the background
Okay.
when I'm doing the actual journey. Hi, nice to actually see your face.
Hi, you too.
And then I'm also going to put a link in the chat right now. So for anybody who the audio doesn't come through well, or, you know, they want it louder, because it does help shift us into the theta waves. I'm going to put a link in the chat right now.
Perfect.
So
okay.
Started, they'll be able to click that link.
Perfect.
And that was my biggest worry. Other than that, I've given this class many times, so it's I was just telling Callie, like, I've told it so many times that sometimes it can be long, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so boring. And she's like, no, the people love it. And I'm like, okay.
We don't know it, you know, we don't know the information. I think that all the time sometimes, you know.
Yeah, it's just us getting in our head. So are you able to see me well? Are you able to hear?
I'm able to see you, and I'm going to blow you up. And then I have like 3 or 4 people that paid that are going to be here too. There's 4 of us total here.
Cool.
And then everybody else is going to be on their own. And there's, I think, 12 people signed up.
Awesome. That's super duper exciting. So, okay. So if you can hear me and see me well, I'm just going to go ahead and mute myself. I'm probably going to take my camera off and do my thing until maybe like 4 minutes before. So I have like, I'm going to go get a drink. I'm going to use the restroom, and then I'll be back. And then
Sounds good.
You know, we can get everybody started. Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome.
All right. So.
I think we're going a little bit overboard.
Oh my gosh, you got on my post. I was like, okay, I'm not posting anymore. And all I did, your husband, I mean, he was very polite, but like I didn't say any like opinion for it.
turn it.
So
Need more light.
No, this is perfect.
oh, I realize you guys can't hear me. I'm sitting here talking. All right, so we're waiting on, oh, they're in the waiting room. Okay, so I believe everybody is here. Yeah.
Okay, so we're good then? We're good to go?
Yes. Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so hello everyone. I see that people are still settling in and getting kind of accustomed to this new way of getting together and being with one another. So thank you all for sharing your evening with me. I'm very, very excited to be taking you on this journey this evening. My name is Lauren Thu, and I am a Peruvian trained shamanic practitioner. And my first experience with shamanism in general, I had no idea what to expect. I had just been medically discharged from the military, and I was going through, and we'll talk about it in this class, I was going through what shamans call the calling, or a very trying time in our life. Other spiritual practices sometimes call it the dark night of the soul, but it's basically where your world gets flipped upside down and you start questioning everything that you were taught, or everything that you thought you knew, and you being not only what's going on within you, but what's going on around you as well. And so I had my dark night of the soul, or my awakening, through getting medically discharged from the military and having kind of an ego death, and being diagnosed with all kinds of fun letters like complex PTSD and anxiety and insomnia and all of these other things. And I was really trying to get better, and I did all of the things. I took all of the medication. I went to all of the therapy that I was told was going to make me better, and just something was missing. It just wasn't happening for me. And I felt like I needed to find something else. And in steps shamanism. A friend of mine said, Lauren, there's this woman who's teaching a class, and it's spiritual mentorship, and she's a shaman. But to take the class, before you begin, you have to get one healing with her so that you kind of understand what you're getting yourself into. And I was like, perfect. I don't know if any of you have had these experiences as well, but when I find kind of like my next step, or the next thing that I'm supposed to be doing in my life, I don't always know exactly how it's going to happen, but I do get this feeling of excitement, like, oh yes, I'm on the right step, or yes, this is where I'm supposed to be. And I definitely got that feeling. Although I had no idea what to expect, I went to this woman's house, and lo and behold, it was a very bubbly, friendly lady named Shannon, who became not only a mentor for me, but eventually my teacher, and took me through the passage of the Mesa, which is a 2.5 year teacher-student training to become a shaman. And again, so when I stepped into it, I had no idea what to expect, and I had a lot of misconceptions. And so that's how the very first half of this class was born. Before I take you on the journey, I want to explain to you and arm you, or empower you with the knowledge of what you're getting yourself into, and what shamanism is and what it isn't, so that you have a better understanding, and that you can talk about it, or maybe even think about how you can incorporate it into your life to help you more. So with that being said, can everybody hear me okay? If you can hear me, just give me a thumbs up. Awesome. It's so good to see everyone. Thank you. Thank you. So I very much encourage you all, if you have questions while I'm doing this, you can unmute yourself and ask the question, or you can type in the chat on the bottom. If you go towards the bottom of your screen, there's going to be an option that says chat, and you can always type your questions in there. If I'm going to get to it, I'll tell you that's a great question. I'm going to get to it in a little bit, or we may talk offline. So it may be like a great question. It's something that you and I can discuss in depth later, or it's something that I can answer right away. But either way, no matter what situation it is, I love questions. That's what makes these classes so unique and so much more powerful for you, because I want you to truly be able to apply everything that you learned this evening, not only for yourself, but maybe if you teach classes for your students, or if you have friends that are struggling with any of the stuff that we talk about this evening, you know, you can share these tools and this knowledge. This isn't something that you just have to wait for a shaman to do. It is really powerful that you're learning how to do it the correct way. You're going to get a lot more out of it, but it is something that I want you to share and continue doing on your own. So please, please ask questions if they come up. Okay. Okay. So let's get started. First of all, let's talk about what is a shaman. The definition of a shaman is pretty interesting, because shamans are found all over the world. It's actually the world's oldest spiritual practice. They're actually, I believe, we found proof of shamanism being practiced all the way out 100,000 years ago. So in Paleolithic times, we were finding proof of shamanistic practices. So shamanism is a very powerful practice, but it's also a way of life. Shamans practice and try and stay in balance with nature. So it's all about understanding how to stay in Aini, is the Peruvian word for harmony, and that's staying in balance. So the word shaman comes from the Siberian word saman, meaning the one who knows, or the one who can see in the dark. So when I looked up that definition in the beginning, it sounded kind of mysterious and intriguing. And the deeper I get into shamanism and the longer I practice shamanism, the more I understand the many meanings behind that definition. So I'm going to do my best this evening to describe some of them to you. Like I said before, shamanism has been practiced throughout time, but also throughout all of the continents in the world. So there are so many different practices. I'm not going to be able to touch on all of them, but I will touch on the ones that are most common and that are found within all shamanistic practices, okay? So shaman has been a word that's been used to describe a specific type of healer in numerous diverse cultures. They can also sometimes be known as medicine men or women, witch doctors, oracles, seers, or predictors. All shamans are healers, but not all healers are shamans. The thing that distinguishes shamans from healers are shamans use spirit helpers, and we work with them and build our relationships with them by moving our consciousness into other realities so that we can gain knowledge and information. So let's see, the origins of shamanism. Shamanism organically arose from the needs of the people. So the very first shamans were in tribes and cultures where they were either very isolated or did not have a plethora of resources to get information from. So the shamans would kind of be called or be initiated into existence by the needs of the people, needing to either know what plants they can or can't eat, or where they would need to plant their crops, or where they would need to hide or go if there was going to be a danger. So shamans have always been recognized leaders in their communities. They help their communities by healing the injured or sick. They also perform sacred ceremonies. They lead and guide the culture They restore and sometimes remove energetic pathways, and they act as a bridge from the unknown to the known for the people. And they also receive knowledge and teachings from plants, animals, and the elements. So they wore many hats. The repeated discovery of shamanistic practices in diverse time and cultures proves that as humans, we can naturally move into altered states of consciousness. So altered states of consciousness is just a big word for being able to either move into meditation or get into trance or focus your thoughts or awareness to move to benefit yourself or others. So Buddhists, for examples, have had 8 very specific states of consciousness that they've written about and moved into for about 2,500 years. And those are called jhanas. And then the yogis also have different states of consciousness that they reach. The shamans regularly use the 3 worlds. So we have 3 different universes, worlds, or realities, if you will, that we travel to regularly, and that is the lower world, the middle world, and the upper world. And we're going to get into what those places actually are and what is contained within them when we get into the journey portion of this, okay? So, how does someone become a shaman? When I first began studying shamanism, it was before any of this stuff was cool, and I was very apprehensive to talk to anyone about it because the very first responses I got were that shamans can only be born. Again, it's a big misconception that the only way you can become a shaman is if you're born in a cultural tribe that practices that, and you are either chosen or a child of another shaman. But that is just one of many ways to become an initiate of this practice. So one of those practices, like I said, is by birth. And this is practices in many tribes because they believe that the spirit of a shaman is chosen for the elders of the tribe will know ahead of time that a child is going to be born that is a shaman, or it will be a child of a shaman of that tribe already. And then it's kind of tough for the kids, if you imagine it, being born with that type of responsibility. They're, as soon as they're able to, almost like school level age, they begin training and learning how to practice whatever their culture practices for that title, right? The other way is by calling. When the calling has begun, the shaman's initiation begins typically in crisis. So like my personal experience, I was physically injured in the military and had to be medically discharged. And not only did I have the physical aspects of it, but I had the psychological aspects of it as well. I thought I was going crazy. It really felt like I was going crazy. And I feel like many of us, as we begin to go through our healing or our personal spiritual awakening, a lot of the time we do begin to question our sanity and wonder if we're really just wacko. And so I definitely went through those stages of questioning whether I was just losing my mind or if I was really discovering my path, which it turned out that's what it was. So when this crisis happens, it explodes throughout the initiate's life, disintegrating their old identity and demanding a new. So basically these challenges come, whether that be physical, emotional, or mental, to begin to break down whoever you used to be so that you can become who you need to be. This crisis will announce itself with an onslaught of unusual experiences that can last days, weeks, months, or years. And disturb the life of the future shaman and forces the initiate to become meditative, seek solitude, sleep great or little amounts, and seem absent-minded or really kind of out of it. So the call of the shaman is sometimes met with reluctance because in the tribes that really do practice shamanism and have a shaman in the tribe, they understand that we make a deal almost, or we create a contract that when we step into the role of shaman, that we will serve. So when we're needed, we must come. So spirit listens, or we're able to work with spirit, and they hear us because they know that when they call us and have something for us to do, that we will come and do whatever is needed for the community or for the person. So in the West, this behavior is usually viewed as psychopathology. So someone is having a mental health issue. But in shamanic cultures, however, time is viewed as a very selective thing from the spirits, and identifying that if this person works through these turbulent times in the right way, that it not only is going to heal and benefit that initiate, but it's also going to benefit the tribe or the community that they're within, because the community then is going to have access to the knowledge and the healing that the shaman is able to provide. So does anybody have questions so far? I know that's a lot of information in a short time. Is everybody good? Awesome. Okay. Then there's also by initiation. So in some cultures, this prospective shaman must undergo what's known as a shamanic initiation. This happens through finding, facing, and working through their traumas and fears. During this time, the initiate will have non-physical experiences, learning from and working with their spirit guides, and subsequently undergoing deep inner transformation. So a lot of shamans will go through many parts of this, right? So I wasn't born into a culture where shamanism is practiced, right? But I did have a calling, and I did come into shamanism. And then I also went through the initiation. So my training was the Mesa, which is very specific to Peru. And that 2.5-year process was learning how to face my fears, how to do shadow work. So how to find the places of my ego or my subconscious that I was unaware of, that was no longer serving me, or that was a trauma or something that I was holding on to, and learning how to work through it, let go of it, transmute it, so that then I could help others do the same thing, right? I love comparing shamanism to teaching someone how to get out of a hole. If you've been in a hole and someone gets you out of it, you don't know how to get yourself out of that hole if you fall into it again. But if you're in a hole and somebody teaches you how to get yourself out, not only do you know how to get out, but you can help the next person you find in a similar hole. Does that make sense? Okay, so shamanic training and discipline. For the next phase of the initiate's journey, a teacher of sorts is required. A teacher that isn't a fool and isn't a fraud. I'm sure all of us have been there, maybe not in shamanism, because this isn't widespread. There aren't a ton of teachers, but maybe other spiritual teachers, or even in business, or different coaches that either didn't know as much as they needed to know, or weren't honest, or weren't using their power in the right way. So it's very important to find a teacher that's able to get you where you need to go, and also get you there in the time that's appropriate for you. So the teacher's duty is to tailor the program or the teaching to fit the personality of the initiate, so that the development of that initiate happens properly. These disciplines usually include a physical aspect, a spiritual aspect, and a social lesson. So the physical aspects of training in shamanism develop the will, it disrupts old physiology, and it changes the state of mind, or it opens the state of mind for the person to understand that there are new possibilities. So these physical practices can look like fasting, they can look like extreme heat or cold, physical exertion, or sleep deprivation. So one of the practices in Native American cultures is something called a vision quest, where they fast and sleep deprive for 3 days. And during that time, they use chanting, prayers, and meditation to reach an altered state of consciousness to where their power animal will come to them and give them their message. A spiritual development helps with deepening and knowing the connection to the divine. So spiritual development might look like meditation or prayer, just like included in the Vision Quest for Native Americans, rituals and ceremony, or even solitude. So social disciplines and training consist of compassionate service to cultivate generosity and menial tasks, to instill humility. So one of my favorite stories, and this is specific to my lineage, so my teacher's teacher tells a story of he was trained by one of the shamans that came off of the Andes Mountains in Peru and taught him. And each day he would have him pick up a pile of poop with his bare hands and walk with it through the city or through the small town and then put it underneath a tree in a specific area. And he had him do this every day. And Miguel talks about each day he got more and more angry, and each day he questioned his teacher, and if he was just trying to make him look like an idiot, or like, why was he having to carry this poop? Like, this is disgusting, right? And over time, he went through all the stages, right? He was angry, and then he didn't understand why, and all of these things happened. And then finally, about 6 weeks later, he started to notice that where he had been bringing this pile of poop each day had started to create green grass and flowers in an area that had been dead and dry. And the teacher explained, you see, sometimes you have to do things that people question and they're going to think you're silly or stupid, but that's just society. When you do things and you come in a humble manner, great things can come from it. So these are the type of ego breaking lessons that we have to learn sometimes, to no longer be afraid to be wrong or to look silly, as long as we know we're doing it for the right reasons, right? So this could also be service to others or volunteering. You don't necessarily have to pick up poop if you want to learn a social lesson, right? So no matter which way they practice, no matter which way they kind of cultivate this discipline, the culmination and the desire is the same. They want to rid themselves of fear, of doubt, and they want to cultivate feelings and emotions of love and compassion. The culmination of this for successful initiates and training results in deep personal and long-lasting breakthroughs, taking the form of visions, insights, experiences of death and rebirth, a sense of dissolving into the universe. In other practices, the same energy would be called Tao, the salvation, reaching enlightenment, fauna, satori, or liberation. So what I found is when I look at other cultures and other religions and other spiritual practices, a lot of them are so similar and they're the same energy. We are just happening to put different labels on them. And so once you begin to journey, you'll start to notice things that you maybe thought were limited to one perspective or one spiritual practice is really found in many others, and it's just going by a different name. So let's see. And I have a lot of notes, guys, so I always review notes because every single class, something different comes up. And so each time I want to make sure that I'm giving you all of the information that you need. So just bear with me. Okay. So shamanism can sound very mysterious. It often has been represented as something for the chosen few, requiring great sacrifice and an indigenous lifestyle, but that just isn't the case. Shamanism is a beautiful practice that can be brought in at any level, depending on the need or the want of each person who practices it. It's not a religion. It has no dogma. It has no founder. It has no book of laws or rules. It is purely a practice of healing. And so let's get into how shamans heal. So in today's society, it is more common than not for us to believe that illness and disease come from viruses, bacteria, and injuries, and that imbalances in brain chemistry are what causes mental health disorders and other emotional illnesses, right? In shamanism, on the other hand, we believe that every illness, every disease, every injury comes with a spiritual root. So there is some tie or energetic or spiritual reasoning behind these physical happenings. So the three main causes of physical, emotional, or mental illnesses in the shaman's eyes are, and in no particular order, guys. Number one, disharmony. And disharmony can come in many forms. Typically, when I'm working with a client, it comes from power loss, personal power loss. So this most often occurs when someone has lost an important connection to life, or when life seems to lose its meaning and experience disempowerment in the process. This loss of will or life power strongly and directly affects our energetic body and causes us to become vulnerable to illness. This can happen subtly or catastrophically. So this can happen slowly over time of you maybe not putting up appropriate boundaries, right? So slowly over time, you're giving your personal power away, you're giving your energy away until suddenly one day you realize, I'm exhausted and I'm experiencing adrenal fatigue. And the spiritual root cause of that could be that loss of personal power from the unhealthy boundary setting. Does that make sense? Okay. The next one is fear. Fear, in my eyes, is the most common illness creator, but I also believe that there are only two core emotions, love and fear, and that's a whole other discussion, but based on that, it's responsible for emotions such as anxiety, stress, anger, jealousy, etc. And modern day science has proven that the release of cortisol, the stress hormone, and adrenaline does have an effect on our immune system and our physical biology. And the third is soul loss. And this sounds super scary, but it's super common. And it's just another label. So the most extreme cause of illness is soul loss, and it is most often experienced after a traumatic event. And this, such as like fighting in a war, a bitter divorce, intense bullying. In some cases, these experiences can be so shattering that one's soul can begin to fragment and disassociate. So a little background on me: after I started working on myself and started feeling better, I went to school and I was really, really passionate about becoming a counselor. So I dove into psychology. And we talk about in psychology when someone's experiencing or has experienced a traumatic event, disassociating, but they don't ever really talk about what disassociates or where it goes. And to me, this is like the missing link. When I started learning about shamanism, it was like, oh, that makes total sense. It's just a part of ourselves, a part of our soul, if you will, that leaves to shelter ourselves or keep that part of ourselves safe from the experience. But sometimes that piece doesn't come back because either we're not back in an environment where it would be safe to come back, so we're still experiencing that trauma, or we haven't processed it and our body doesn't feel as if we're ready, etc. There's many, many reasons. But these experiences can be so shattering that one soul does disassociate, and then in the most extreme experience, the soul gets so far that it fails to return. And that is when shamans perform something called a soul retrieval. And guess what a soul retrieval is? It's a journey. So after tonight, you guys will begin to you'll have the tools to begin building on being able to do some of these things for yourself. So when we've heard people say things like, I have not been the same since that happened, or a part of me died that day, or these remarks are red flags for soul loss for me personally, and some following symptoms do also commonly occur. Feeling of not being all there or fragmented. Blocked memory is a very common indicator for me of soul loss. Emotional distance or complete apathy, feeling nothing, a lack of joy, motivation, or enthusiasm. Addiction is a very common sign of soul loss. Suicidal tendencies, chronic depression, and negativity. These are all very obvious signs for me. The point of all this talk of suffering and bringing it into the light is because it is something that you can work through, and it is something that you can heal through. And again, knowledge is power. So being aware of it is the first step in being able to work through it. In the shamanic perspective, true healing, spiritual healing, cannot be done on a physical level alone. So just like I may be chronically obese, or I may have a heart condition or something, right? And I can go get weight loss surgery and physically lose all the weight, but if emotionally I still don't feel like I'm enough, or I still feel I don't love myself and I feel disgusting, or whatever it is, right? I may physically look better, but I'm still not better. And that's the way the shamans see it. Does that make sense? Okay, perfect. Okay, so shamanic healing is a partnership. I always say, I don't heal you, you heal you. I'm just the facilitator to give you the tools for you to do it yourself. A person must be willing and ready to take full responsibility of his or her own healing. It's your job. So there's no magic pill, and that lies outside of the spiritual body. So I can be an outstanding tutor, but I'm not going to give you the answers, right? It's when you teach a person to fish, they're going to be able to eat for the whole life. So that's why the journey is so important. And that's why I've become so passionate about teaching what we're about to talk about, which is the shamanic journey. The shamanic journey is a tool that I use in every single one of my healing sessions with clients. The journey is something that I personally used for myself and still do to this day for my personal healing. So I encourage you, when we shift now into the journey portion of the class, that you take as many notes as you feel you need, and also ask as many clarifying questions as you feel you need, because I want you, the next time you do this, to feel completely prepared to go on a journey by yourself. It's super powerful and it's super fun to have someone guiding you verbally. I still have my teacher guide me time to time, or I'll ask one of my sisters or something like that to drum for me and guide me. And so that's not something that you should never do again. There are times for it, but I really encourage you to use this tool on your own from this point on. And I really want to empower you to do that. So please ask questions, okay? All right, so here we go, the exciting part, my passion part. So what is a shamanic journey? The shamanic journey is an ancient method to move our consciousness into that invisible and mysterious place outside of time and physical reality. This has been called the spirit realm, non-ordinary reality, the parallel universe, the other world in Celtic tradition, dream time to the Australian Aborigines, and many, many other names. A shamanic journey is always performed in a ceremony context, as these are realms that should not be taken lightly. So I say that, and at the same time, we're taught that shamanism has no rules, right? So we do it in ceremony context until you feel comfortable enough that you don't need to anymore. Does that make sense? It's so silly to say it that way, but don't take off the training rails until you really feel confident. For me, I did these steps that I'm going to be teaching you verbatim over and over and over again, all the way to the point to where I was doing journeys for clients and my guides would be like, we're here. We want to give you the answers right now. And I'd be like, no, I have to go down the path and get into the gate. And they're like, Lauren, we're here. So when that kind of thing starts happening where you're going through the steps and they're like, we're ready to give you the information you need, that's when you can begin changing your practice and making it your own. But until then, I just ask that you follow the rules and guidelines that I give you today, because they're set up to make you safe and to get you the best practice, so perfect practice, right? The best perfect practice, so that when you begin going out on your own, you have a very strong foundation. So, in shamanic practice, it is believed that our spirit is always tethered to our bodies, and it is always connected to source. And our soul is a separate part. So the spirit is something that inhabits our body and is connected to source at all times. And our soul is able to come and go as it pleases. The spirit acting as an umbrella, if you will. As I mentioned in an earlier talk on shamanism, when a shaman is initiated onto the path, we are taught how to intentionally move our soul into altered states of consciousness. It's the very first thing we learn how to do in our shamanic practices and teaching, is how to journey. Actually, I was taught how to journey in the spiritual mentorship class. That's how important it was. So let's see. This reality that we're going to today, in my practice, we call it non-ordinary reality, or the NOR, or shamanic reality. Okay. So this reality always exists. It has always existed. The beings that inhabit it have always existed, and they are there whether you are there or not. Okay, so what can journeys be used for? A journeying is a sacred tool for personal development and spiritual growth. It is so powerful. You can meet your helping spirits like we will be this evening. So this evening we will be retrieving a power animal, which is profound and a journey in and of itself. But then we will also be taking time to allow that power animal to be giving us any messages, any healing, or anything of that nature during the journey as well. So during shamanic journeys, there exists a variety of helping spirits. These spirits come in the form of either spirit guides or power animals, and they can also come in the form of plants, insectoids. Like I've had a client retrieve it was a power animal retrieval, and it was a music note. So these realities do not conform to our laws in this reality, so it doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to be a creature from this place, okay? The helping spirits guide the shaman and spirit travelers through these other worlds and assist them in healing themselves and other individuals, the community, and the planet. So power animals, like we're going to be retrieving this evening, are a key role in shamanic practice. I work with my power animals every single day. And according to shamanic practice and wisdom, every person is born with a spirit of at least one power animal that has agreed to work with them. So, but in my experience, most people have many animals that they work with. So teach animals graciously lend their wisdom and attributes. For example, if a jaguar can teach someone to walk fearlessly, to know when to hunt and when to wait, right? As one moves through life, they can lose old animals and acquire new power animals depending on what they currently need in their life. It is also quite common for you to keep all of your power animals. So let me see. I work on a regular basis with 3, but I've retrieved more than that, obviously, that have helped me. Now, there's a difference between a spirit animal and a power animal. A spirit animal is an animal that comes to you that gives you a message that you need in that moment. A power animal is a energy or being that has chosen to come assist you for your life, and they typically have attributes that you need or already have that need to be cultivated for your success or to fulfill your purpose. So, and then spirit guides is another way we work in our journey. And those, so lower world is where we retrieve our power animals, and upper world is where we retrieve our spirit guides. So communication between ourselves and our helping spirits this evening may not be through words. The communication between shamans and spirits most commonly does not have words, and it's more of a knowing or an understanding. So if your power animal speaks to you this evening, that is wonderful, but if not, that's okay too. Typically, they will be able to give you the message, or you'll have the understanding of what they're telling you, either telepathically or just that general know. That's typically out for me. When they do use words, usually it's short and sweet, and it's something that you can ruminate on and get a lot of meaning out of, depending on where you're at in your life. So again, I'll just reiterate, verbal communication does not usually occur. And this is because in higher states of consciousness, the separation or the need for words is no longer there, because we're in kind of these realities where we're more connected. During a journey, we can also examine the health of ourselves or others. So we don't have to go on a journey to specifically meet a being or a power animal. We can also go just to explore ourselves or to check on others. One of the most powerful journeys that I've personally had that I love sharing is journeys are a great way or a great tool for if you need to work in your interpersonal relationships. You can go and meet with someone's higher self, either that has passed or that you're not able to speak to in this reality, either like their human just isn't having it, or it's just not healthy for you, or you're not able to. You can go on a journey and speak with their higher selves and work something out. For me personally, my grandmother is extremely religious and fearful of shamanism, and so she decided to not talk to me for a little bit, and so I went on a journey and asked her higher self, or just kind of just had a talk with her higher self, and said, I really want you in my life. I love you. I wish you could just be happy that I'm happy, you know. And her higher self was like, of course, I understand. I'm just scared. My human is just afraid for you. But I love you and I'll always be there for you. And lo and behold, the very next day, my grandmother, for the very first time, showed up at my house ever, uninvited, to say hello and just to try and talk to me again. So that's the kind of results that you can get from doing a journey. So let's see, how are we doing on time? Oh, we're doing golden. This is great. Okay. So psychologically, some people use the journey to work through emotional issues. They can confront either situations or emotions that they feel uncomfortable or have been unable to work through in either therapy or on their own. A journey is a wonderful tool too, and a safe place to express anger and to work through these type of issues. The shamanic journey provides a tool for spiritual growth because the individual can seek out evolved teachers as well. So like I told you guys, upper world is where we retrieve our spirit guides. This is also where you can find master teachers that can help you work through certain things or give you knowledge or insight on certain things. Okay, so when we go on a journey, switching gears a little bit here, when we go on a journey, each time you go, you're going to use a vehicle. So what is a vehicle? The shaman enters the spirit realm via a trance, which is oftentimes induced by rhythmic percussion like drum or a rattle. So your vehicle is the thing that helps move your consciousness into its altered state. And its altered state is really just moving your brain waves into theta so that you're more lucid. So the traditional way for the Peruvian shamanism is drumming, and so that is what I use. I traditionally use the drum if I'm doing it in ceremony, or if I'm in a healing practice with one of my clients, I use the rattle. So I'm going to, when I guide you this evening, I'm going to be playing the drumming here, but because we're on Zoom, it's not very poor quality to me. I would love for you to hear the drum better. So I have included in the chat a link to my favorite drumming YouTube. And then you can also use this when you go on your journeys again. And our vehicle this evening is going to be that drumming. So when we begin, you'll just click on that link and it can play while I guide you. But in the future, you'll be able to use that again. The reason I love the drumming is that it has been scientifically proven to help move our brainwaves into that theta state, which is where we can access their subconscious. This has also been called the hypnotic state. So this is where you can self-hypnosis. This is also where you're at from the 3rd trimester in pregnancy all the way up until the age of 7. So this is our like sponge state, if you will. And the rhythm of the drums and the tone and frequency of the drums helps physically move our brainwaves into that theta state. During these trances, the brain enters theta waves. I already said that. And the journey, okay, so the journey is then also achieved by the person's intent, right? So for any of you who are worried about not being able to go on the journey, or not having a hard time meditating or anything like that, the theta waves help, the drumming helps, but in this particular situation, it's also your intent. If you intend to go and you intend to have an experience, you are going to have an experience. Now, on what level that is going to depend on your personal need, and we'll get into that in a second. But as long as you set the intention to go and you trust me enough and you trust yourself enough to experience whatever comes up for you, it's gonna happen, okay? I've taught this class a lot, and I've never had a person that was completely unable to break through. People have thought they were unable to break through. People thought they didn't get a message. And then when we talk about it, the message was there. They just didn't understand, okay? So no fear if any of you are worried about that, okay? So, I'm reviewing my notes, making sure I haven't missed anything. Okay, so I want to talk about this real quick, because every time someone out in like real life land hears that I'm a shaman and that I teach journeys, the first thing they ask me is if it's plant medicine. Okay, so plant medicine is one way to have a journey. It is one way to move your consciousness into an altered state. This particular type of journey, this particular type of technique that you're learning this evening is the safest and purest form of the way to journey, okay? All of the other ways with plant medicine, I suggest, they're definitely good, they're definitely there for a reason, but I suggest you use the unassisted ways of journeying until you have reached your full potential, and then move on to the plant wisdom and that sort of thing. It's always better to do as much as you can on your own and then use assistance. So that's just my 2 cents. But the plant medicine is definitely helpful. There's actually the shamans in Siberia won't use plant medicine. They actually prefer the drum because they say that the spirit of the plant in the medicine has its own agenda as well. And so it wants to show them and assist them in certain ways. But when they go without the spirit of that plant medicine, they're able to clearly do what they need to do or get a message that isn't swayed by the spirit of the plant medicine. Okay, so what can you expect during and after a journey? So the way each journeyer experiences their journey is going to be unique to them. But the journeyer will often experience both the room that they're in and where we're at in the journey. Their soul or your soul was going to be in two places at once. You're going to be wherever you're at, and then you're also going to be in this different reality. So it won't be like watching a movie. It won't be like imagining something, because you're actually there. Some people will experience leaving their body and the places that their soul goes, and these visits may be in full-blown technicolor. When I started, I didn't visualize anything. I just knew what was happening. So each of us has a different sense that's going to be heightened, and this is not the physical sense. So if you see really well, that doesn't mean that you're going to journey and see everything in technicolor. Whatever is your strongest ability in your senses spiritually, that's the way you're going to experience the journey the strongest. As you practice, as you almost train your brain and your body how to move into this altered state of consciousness, it's going to become easier and easier. You're going to shift quicker and quicker, but then also the rest of your senses are going to start to hear, touch, all of it in one. But then there's also some who, like my teacher, she doesn't see, she hears. She hears everything very, very well. So she gets her messages that way, where I am just a knower, so I don't necessarily see everything always, but sometimes they'll show me pictures. So however it shows up to you is going to be unique, and that is okay. And the more you practice, the better you'll get. So let's see. In the cases where the journeyer experiences nothing visual, they may have more of a knowing. We talked about that. The senses that are predominant in an individual's daily life may not be those which are the strongest. Man, I'm trying to make sure I read everything, and I'm really proud of myself because I remembered. So sorry I'm repeating for you guys, but win for me. Let's see. Okay. A shaman healer is not considered a healer unless his or her healings bring a result. So also, the way he or she experiences his or her journey is not normally related to the ability of the healer. Some very powerful healers may only experience sound, and others may have visions of technicolor. The logical mind in this experience is usually what is going to hinder you the most. Okay, so what I say in this type of class is, if your brain is having a hard time getting over the fact that you think you're making it up, or it's having a hard time in the experience thinking that it's not real, just go ahead and agree with it. Just save us all time and say, okay, you're right, and then just see what happens. Just go along with the rest of the journey saying, okay, I'm making it up, but maybe let's see what happens, because the journey isn't the biggest part of this. The biggest part of this is what's going to happen with you all afterwards. The next couple days and weeks, the experiences that you have, and the aha moments and the things that come through that verify your experience is what I really care about. So just go ahead and agree with your logical mind this evening if you're having a hard time thinking about you making it up or it not being real or being able to do it, and just let that logical mind win for this evening. So, from modern shamanic writing, a surprising percentage of shamanic authors seem to have started out critical and skeptical. So it's not bad if you're questioning what's going on, or you ask questions on why or how something is happening to your guides. This is all good. It actually makes you a better journeyer in the end. But just be open to allowing whatever experience happens tonight. And when we're finished, I'm going to have you all take as best notes that you can on your experience. And I ask that you guys come back in a couple days and weeks and just take a look at what you've written. I've gone back to my journeys, even my very first journey that I had years and years ago, and I still get surprising new little tidbits of aha moments or understanding on what they were talking about or what happened in that moment. So let's talk about the three worlds of the shamanic journey. So in shamanic cosmology, there are 3 worlds and they're divided into equal parts. This is the lower, the middle, and the upper world. So these worlds are oftentimes symbolized by the image of the world tree, which is commonly referred to as the axis of Mundi. The roots represent the lower world, the trunk represents the middle world, and the branches represent the upper world. So no, lower world is not hell. It's actually inside Earth and inside you. And middle world is just on top of the reality that we're on and inside of us. And then upper world is above us, right? And this is where like the etherical. So I go to upper world to retrieve guides. I go to upper world to receive teachers, also to heal, to go to, man, I'm having a brain blank. The Akashic records, those sort of things are all stored in upper world. So lower world, like I said, it's not full of shadows and evil things. It's in no way related to hell. Actually, lower world is the world of the invisible and the interconnectedness of nature and ourselves. It's a place where natural spirits, like our power animals, vibrate and live. This is where all aspects of nature, from the mountains to the rivers to the fireflies, all commune in connection with us. So this is a really, really powerful place. Let's see, middle world. Middle world is the spiritual dimension of our physical world. It's where our ordinary consciousness and waking reality resides. So this can also be associated with a non-ordinary state. So I would go into middle world if one of my clients had a physical ailment and I wanted to see maybe where it was located in the body, or if there was an emotion that they were holding in the body or something like that. I would also go to middle world if so I clear homes, I clear houses and land. So if someone was having a hard time with like selling a property, maybe I would journey to middle world to speak with the land and see what was going on. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So upper world, like I said, unlike the earthly lower and middle worlds, it's abstract, it's imaginative, it's otherworldly, if you will. Yeah, the shaman's main purpose for visiting upper world is to commune with spirit guides and spiritual teachers. Their teachers help the shaman in both healing and divination. So journey destinations, like I said, there's different worlds, but depending on what I need, I'm going to have a different destination in each of those worlds. So literally your imagination is the limit here. It's, if you're not sure which world you need to go to after tonight, you're going to have your power animal and you can ask them. Anytime I'm with a client and I'm not sure what needs to happen next, I will go to my place in nature, which we're going to be discovering here in just a second, and I will call upon my power animals and ask them, what does this client need the most? Where do I need to go to do whatever that is, and what do I need to do? So after tonight, you will be able to ask your power animal for guidance, and they can tell you where you need to go. Okay, so you can go anywhere. Like if someone really, really needs healing, you can travel into between the cells in their body and place healing. So literally the sky's the limit. Okay, so how do you go on a journey? These are in 5 steps, because I'm ex-military, and so that's how I got to break it down, peanut butter jelly style. You know, how are we going to do this? So the very first thing you need to do, and this is not what you have to do before every journey, this is just something you need to do right now, and then from here on out you'll use this every time. Every time we start our journey, we start in our place in nature, and this place in nature is going to be specific to you. And once you nail down where this place is, you're going to use it every single time from here on out. This is our physical anchor. This is the thing that's going to help ground us back into our bodies. This is going to be our starting point every single journey. So it's really, when I journeyed before, so funny fact, I shamanic journeyed before I knew what shamanic journeying was, and before I even knew what shamanism was. It was how I had my very first physical spiritual experience with one of my guides. I looked up a meditation on Pinterest on how to meet your guides. So, and didn't know what it was, followed the instructions, and had a very physical experience. And what I realized was when you don't use your place and journey, you are going to feel more spacey. You're going to feel kind of more out of it than opposed to when you use your place in nature, it helps ground you and brings you back into your space and back into your body. So there's just a couple rules about this place in nature. One, once you figure it out, you use it every time. Two, it has to be a place that it has existed in this reality at one point in time. It doesn't necessarily have to exist anymore. I don't want to say it's better because I don't think there's better or worse, but I tend to find it's more powerful if it's a place that you've physically been to or that you're emotionally attached to. It took me 2 times to figure out where my place was. I started in one place that I physically knew and it just didn't feel right. And the next time I just let whatever happened. And it wasn't a place that I had ever physically been, but I feel very, very connected to it emotionally. Makes sense later on when I did more journeys, but so I stuck with my place. So you can find your place tonight. If it still doesn't feel right, give it a couple tries and see how you feel. You can change it a few times, but once you figure out your place, just start there every single time. Okay. So when you start your journey, you're always going to start in your place in nature. Okay. Now step 1 in journeying, the very first step, getting clear on your intentions. This is so important. Where are you going and why are you going there? So it's more powerful if it's something that you actually need, whether emotionally, physically, mentally. And the other thing about your intentions is it's kind of your announcement when you get to that place. So when you get to that place, you announce your intention, and it's like letting somebody know, because basically what we're doing when we move into these altered states of consciousness and going to these other realities, we're walking into their living rooms. And if somebody just walked into your living room and didn't introduce themselves and state their intentions, you would be like, get out of my house, right? So it's really good for us to have a clear intention. So for this evening, our intention is going to be that we're going to travel to lower world and we're going to retrieve a power animal. And once we retrieve that power animal, we're going to ask them either a question or ask them for some form of healing. And your second step is going to be to pick your vehicle. How are you going to get there? Are you going to use a recording? Are you going to ask a friend to drum for you? Are you going to call me up? What are you going to do? So the beauty of drumming, like I said, is it helps move your state of consciousness, but it doesn't have to be that. So just whatever you so choose. Step 3 is you're actually going to go there. You're going to do the journey. You're going to do the thing. So you're going to find your place in nature. Now, after this time, all of you are going to go down to lower world to retrieve your power animal with my power animal. After this, you will go with your power animal every single time. So you'll actually go. So the sub steps, we're going to have little sub steps under this 3 step. Okay. So 3 is traveling to the NOR. You're going to find your place in nature. You're going to call on your power animal. Tonight it's going to be my power animal, and we're going to use Hawk. So we're going to ask for Hawk to come. You're going to let Hawk know what your intentions are and where you're going, and you're going to ask Hawk to come with you. After tonight, you'll do the same thing, but with your power animal. If they say no, don't go. Wait. Wait for when they're ready, because they are there to protect you. So if they say no, it's for a reason. And then these are the little sub steps. So these are the things that you're going to do again if you want to go to lower world, okay? You are going to find your place in nature. You're going to call upon your power animal. You're going to let them know what's up. You're going to ask them to come. They're going to say yes, definitely. And then you're going to leave your place in nature, and you're going to begin following a path in nature. So this path in nature doesn't have to be in any way related to your place in nature. So my place in nature is actually a Greek Parthenon in modern day Turkey now. But it was in Greece then. And when I come out of my Parthenon and begin my journey and I step out into my path in nature, it's actually a jungle in Peru. So again, this place doesn't have to be the same, but once you figure it out, you're going to use that path every single time. Okay. So here's where it starts to get fun, because after you follow your path, this is where we actually begin to either go down if we're going to lower world, in if it's middle, and up if it's upper world. So every time I'm walking on my path in nature, I find a tree. There's a specific tree that I use that has a huge hole in it that I can crawl into the tree. And then if I'm going to lower world, I can crawl in this little ladder and then get on the roots, and then and then crawl into this cave or this cavern-like area. If I'm going into middle world, there's a door that opens up and I can walk through it. Or if I'm going to upper world, there's a ladder that brings me into the branches, and then I fly with my hawk, right? So you're gonna find, this time, you're gonna find a place that gets you down. It doesn't have to be my tree. It can be an elevator. It can be stairs. It can be a sinkhole. You can crawl into a hole like Alice in Wonderland. But you're just going to find a way, depending on where you're going, either down, in, or up. Today, it's going to be down. In the guided journey today, I'm going to be talking about the tree, but you can do whatever you want. So once you find yourself going down, we're going to go through a couple layers. Each time, either when you go in, down, or up, you're going to travel through 3 layers. So if it was a tree, I would say, we're climbing on the ladder, and then we're scooting down the roots, and then we're finally in the dirt, and then we're in the caverns, right? So these levels are what helps you move your state of consciousness lower into slower brainwaves. So if at any time you're doing a journey on your own and 3 levels, you just don't feel like you're in it enough, just keep making levels. Just keep breaking through, barriers or going down other sections, and that's going to help bring you deeper into it. This evening, I'm kind of going to let spirit guide me, and I'll do 3. And then if I feel like maybe we need one more, I'll do that. So finally, we're going to find ourselves in these kind of earth-like caverns or caves that are inside the earth. And it's going to be dark. So at any point it's too dark, you can create light. So you can either be holding light in your hands, or you can have a flashlight, or you can turn the lights on, whatever it is. You can make it lighter and brighter for you. Eventually, as you're walking down this hall or this cavern, you're going to come upon some sort of looking glass or mirror. I love doing this before I go into the gates of each place, because it allows you to get a sense of what is going on with that aspect of your soul. So when we look into the mirror, you're going to be able to see what aspect of you is traveling that evening, and it's going to look different every time. You just want to note that. You want to kind of keep it in your mind and notice what you see, notice what you feel, because later on you're going to be writing that and it may mean something to you. But we're going to come into these caves. Eventually you're going to find this mirror or looking glass, and I'm going to give you a few moments to look at that. And then we're going to immediately turn, and they're going to be the gates to lower world. Now, lower world has a guardian, and his name is Huáscar Inca. He was actually an Incan or Mayan king, and they made him a deity. So now he is one of our spiritual helpers for underworld. Or lower world. So when we turn to the gate for safe passage, we're going to give him a gift. Every single time you go to lower world, you're going to bring him a gift. The only rules about this gift are it can't be anything of you. You don't want to give him a piece of your hair. Nothing of you. Does that make sense? No pictures of you. I like giving him oranges and apples. I don't know why I do that. And it's going to be interesting how he shows up to you guys and the demeanor that he has, because you'll be surprised probably. So we're gonna give him a gift, and we're gonna.
Well, we can rewind it. Oh wait.
Is everybody good? You guys have questions?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know we weren't mute. What was the king's name?
Huáscar Inca. I'll spell that for you if I can find it. Huascr space Inca. Huáscar Inca.
Great.
Yes. And I think, honestly, I think it's pronounced Huáscar if you're saying it in the foreign dialect, but you know. Okay, so we're going to give him a gift. Okay, I like this. We're going to give him a gift, and the only thing is it can't be anything of you. It can be money. It can be whatever you want it to be. But let's keep us to ourselves. So once we give him the gift, he is going to give us permission to pass through, and the gates are going to open. As the gates open, you're going to find yourself walking through the gates, and then there immediately after the gates, there's a large waterfall. This waterfall is the final portal, if you will, into lower world. So as you pass through it, you are going to be releasing and letting go of anything that is hindering you or keeping you from completely entering into that altered state of consciousness. Once you've passed, and you guys let me know if I'm talking too fast too. If you need me to say or repeat anything, I can totally do that as well. But you're going to give him a gift. He's going to grant you access or not. Again, if he doesn't grant you access, if he says, no, not today, just like with your power animals, today's not the day. Come back another time. So we pass through the gates, and then there's going to be the giant waterfall. We pass through the waterfall. This is allowing us to release anything that is keeping us from moving into this consciousness. And then we're going to find some sort of ancient bridge. Pay attention to the size of this bridge. What does it look like? What color is it? What is it over? And once you finally made your way over the bridge, you're going to come into this type of opening, if you will. And when you come into this opening, just at the other side of the bridge, this is where you're going to announce yourself. And I'll give you an example of just how I do it. When I get to a place that I'm going, I say, I am Lauren Thu. I'm here to, and tonight it'll be, I'm here to retrieve my power animal. I ask that my power animal steps forward, and then you'll wait. So whenever you get to the other side of the portal and the other side of the bridge, you're going to announce yourself and your intention. and then you're going to wait. Now, while you're waiting, the best way I can describe this is quieting the mind as much as you can, because this is really where we're going to be allowing or beginning to allow these beings to come into our awareness and interact with us. So there may be animals that walk by, or there may be animals that come around you or come close, but your power animal in particular will come directly to you, either jumping in your arms, jumping on you, knocking you over, or something like that. Just to be sure, you're always going to ask when you're retrieving anything new, are you my power animal? And they will either say yes or no. Once they say yes, that's when the fun starts. So this is when we will create that that kind of bond with our power animal. So when they say yes, you'll place your hands out, and what they're going to do is either breathe out something or give you some sort of gift. This gift is then going to be placed in the journey into each one of your chakras. Ooh. Once you've placed your power animal's gift in, you are free to ask them whatever question you wanted to ask, or for whatever healing you wanted to ask for. Typically, I like to ask for the healing that I need most at this time, or for the adjustments or downloads that I need most at this time for my highest and best. Because I know there's all kinds of things that I would like them to work on, but if that's not really what's my best, if that's just what I want, then that's not really what I want. So I typically will leave it up to them to bring me where I need to go, or to give me what I need to be given. Because this is your power animal, you can trust them. They are on your team 100%. So they're not going to do anything that is not for your highest and best. Okay, so I'm going to stop talking at that point, and you're going to go have some free time with your power animal and experience whatever you experience. And then, let's see, retrieve power animal. Okay, and when you're with your power animal, you can ask their name, you can ask what sex they are, you can ask why they are your power animal, what messages they have for you, how you can better connect with them. And then your only job after that is to, and this is step 4, listen for the return call. So step 4 is listen for the call back. When it's time to come back, either if you're listening to a drumming, the drumming will change rhythm, or in our case, I will tell you, this is the return call. Thank your power animal, ask them to return with you, and come back the way you came. So when you hear the return call, you come back from wherever you're at the exact same way you got there, back to the opening before the bridge. And your power animal will help you do that. Once you get back to the opening in front of the bridge, I will bring you back the rest of the way. I will start talking again, and I will verbally bring you back. Now, when we go down into lower world, we go much slower because we're moving into that altered state of consciousness. When we come back, we can come back much quicker. So I will verbally be telling you we're moving back very quickly. We can feel ourselves moving faster and faster towards the surface. And this is normal, and that's fine. The coming back to your place in nature is what's going to ground you and bring you back fully into the room. So you're going to come back into that opening, and from there, I'm going to verbally take you over the bridge. I'm going to take you through the waterfall. Now, the waterfall on the way back is keeping you from bringing back anything that you're not supposed to be bringing back. Only bring back your power animal. You are not You don't want to take back anything else that you're not ready to work with right now. So when you go through the waterfall, be sure it is you, my power animal, and your power animal. Now, when we're doing these journeys, I am with each and every one of you. A lot of my students say anytime they feel unsure or uneasy, they typically see me somewhere in the left. So if at any time you feel like you need guidance or direction, you can always look in your journey and I will be there with you, okay? So step 4 was listen for the callback. Be in gratitude, ask to continue your relationship, ask them to come back and come back the same way you came. And then step 5, the final and last step of a journey, is write down everything you can like a mad person. Everything has meaning. The color, the size, the sound, the way it comes through, all of these things are messages from these beings, from your subconscious, from spirit, to help assist you. So you want to try and get as much detail and as much of the information as you can out as soon as you can, because trust me, within a couple minutes, things are going to start fading. It's very interesting. So does anybody, before we go, does anyone have any questions for me?
So you're going to kind of walk us through all that and like repeat us and kind of tell us
Yeah, so you guys don't need to remember it now.
Okay.
That's just for you to do again later.
Okay, perfect.
If you want to.
Okay, great.
I really hope you do. I'll you guys through everything. Mhm.
And when you said pick a vehicle,
Yes.
oh, sorry. I don't know why I took this
Okay.
off. Are we supposed to pick that now or is that later?
So it's kind of predetermined for you now because I'm using the drumming. But like I said, I sent you a link, so you can use the link that I sent you to play, or you can mute it and you can drum for yourself right now. You could use a rattle. So it's just choosing whatever you're going to use in that particular journey to help move you into the altered state of consciousness.
Okay.
Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Anybody else?
Is there any particular way that we should be sitting or lying down, or what's the...
So if you tend to fall asleep during meditation, I would sit propped up. If you are not a good, well, there's no good and bad meditator, right? But if you don't fall asleep or you don't have the issue of falling asleep when you meditate, you can lie down. I like being super comfortable. This is going to be around 20 minutes, give or take 4 minutes. So
She said, like, recommended to sit. She said, if you can fall asleep.
yeah, so if you tend to fall asleep, because we are getting really deep in those brain waves, right? We're getting into that theta wave, which kind of makes you want to fall asleep. So if you feel like that, then be in the most comfortable, propped up or seated position you can. If that's not an issue for you, lay down, get comfy, use a bolster, get a blanket, eye pillow, whatever you want.
Is the YouTube the Michael Harmon one? Is that something
Let me see. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Okay, great.
And that is legit. That is my favorite drumming YouTube video to listen to. That's the one I use. So and typically you all won't want to do more than 30 minutes, a 30-minute journey. That's actually pretty long. And the reason for that is you're so deep and you're collecting so much information, but by the time you're at the end of the 30 minutes, you've lost what you got in the beginning. So like I literally, when I'm with clients now and I'm journeying, especially like if it's like my 3rd client of the day or something, and I've been journeying a lot, I have to, as I get it, write it down, because even like 5 minutes later, it's gone. So the sweet spot for me, if I'm doing like a journey like this or on my own, is 15 to 20 minutes. All right. Is everybody else good? Okay, let's get comfy. So go ahead and everyone get in whatever position you would like to be in for the journey. Go ahead and make sure your phone's on silent, your door's shut. I have 3 kids, so I typically have to threaten them. to be quiet.
Bribe.
Yeah, it always ends up being bribing because I don't ever actually follow through.
Are you going to tell us when to start the drums?
Yeah, so I would say once you're comfortable, go ahead and start. I'm going to start talking in the next 2 minutes. There we go. All righty. Getting yourself as relaxed as you can. Bringing your awareness into the room, into your body. We'll begin in our place in nature. Begin by remembering and bringing into the forefront of your mind your intentions to go to lower world and retrieve your power animal. Receive whatever messages or healing you need for your highest and best. Really bringing ourselves into our place in nature, using our senses to see what colors are there, to feel the air on our skin and on our face. To notice any sounds around us in our place in nature. If we smell anything. And now that we feel completely here, let's call upon the power animal of Hawk. Telling Hawk, we are going to retrieve your power animal today. Asking for his or her assistance. When they agree, we can begin moving towards our path in nature. Stepping onto the ground, we feel the earth beneath our feet. With each step becoming closer and closer to our destination. Allowing each step on our path in nature to bring us more and more into the moment. Eventually we come so deep onto our path in nature that we find a place down into lower world. As we find this place down, we move into the tree trunk and begin crawling and shimmying our way down the tree. Sliding and wiggling lower and lower into the tree, we begin to find more space and we can begin to crawl and lower ourselves down on the roots, deeper and deeper into the earth. We're getting deeper and deeper until we finally find the opening to the caverns into lower world. We finally place our feet onto the cavern floor, noticing that it may be damp and dark, creating more light if you need it. Taking each step cautiously, looking around you, just observing as you become deeper and deeper into the caverns of lower world. Until we finally come across a large mirror. Take this time to look at your reflection. See this aspect of your soul. Noticing what you notice. Now it is time to meet with Huascar Inca, so we turn and step forward, finally coming into the area of the lower world gates. And there Huascar Inca waits, offering your gift now. We wait. Notice his reaction. As he accepts, the gates of lower world open and we finally see the great waterfall, the final portal into lower world. Walking through the waterfall, we are releasing and letting go of anything that is hitting us. Releasing and letting go anything that is keeping us from completely entering into this reality. As we come through the waterfall, we notice a great bridge. Noticing the size, the age, anything that we may notice about the bridge. Walking over it. Until we finally find ourselves coming into the great opening of lower world. Here we will announce ourselves and our intentions, stating your name and calling upon your power animal to step forward now. Wait for your power animal to approach you, and when they have, ask if that is your power animal indeed. When your power animal finally arrives, receive your gift from your power animal and be sure to place it in each one of your chakras. Once you have received your gift from your guide, you can ask your power animal its name, its sex, why it has decided to be your power animal, what it is here to help you with, and how you can work with it deeper. Once you're ready, you can ask your power animal to show you whatever you need to see, give you messages, or you can ask for healing, whatever serves your highest and best in this moment. You are free to go with your power animal. Just be sure to listen for the call to return. Hearing the call to return, turning to your power animal, asking them to continue any healing that you may need at this time. Thanking them for their guidance. Ask them to return back with you the same way you came. Until you are finally back at the opening in front of the large bridge. Once we have all made it back to the ancient bridge, we begin to move swiftly with our power animal and hawk over the bridge to the great waterfall. Through the waterfall, we ensure it is only us, our power animal, and great hawk that leave. Everything else must stay. Coming through the waterfall, passing through the gates, we hear them close behind us. Be sure to turn and thank Hoskar Inca for our safe passage once more. Moving swiftly now through the caves, you can feel the air on your face picking up as we move with speed. Moving quicker and quicker, we begin to float upwards as we finally find ourselves at the end of the caves, passing through the roots, through the dirt, through the soil, through the tree, and out onto our path in nature. Finally coming back into our path in nature, we begin to bring back all of us, all of our essence back with each step closer and more into our bodies and more into the room. With each step coming closer and closer to our place in nature, more and more grounded and in our bodies. Finally, taking those last few steps on our path in nature, feeling completely and totally renewed from our journey, moving into our place in nature, releasing and thanking Hawk for escorting us to lower worlds. Turning and thanking our newly retrieved power animal. Ask them to continue working with you. And thank them for any healing and guidance they may have provided and will provide in the future. Finally, thanking and releasing them, moving your consciousness back into your body and into the space, leaving your eyes still closed, just allowing yourself to feel your body on the floor or bed or couch or wherever you may be. Calling all of your power and all of your energy back into you. Whenever you're ready, slowly beginning to invite movement into your fingers and your toes, rolling your wrists, ankles, maybe even moving your elbows. Whenever you're ready, bringing more movement into your body to where you feel comfortable to roll on either side. You can turn off the drumming whenever you're ready. Whenever you feel completely and totally back in the space, I invite you to begin writing as much of your experience as you can recall. How's everybody doing? Do you guys need a few more minutes? Yeah? Okay. Okie dokie. So we'll take maybe another minute, try and get what you can out. And then this is one of my favorite parts of the class is getting to share. So if anyone really would like to share their experience or, and I love, love, love hearing you guys' experiences, and I love hearing what you guys think of it. If you want me to tell you what I get out of it, if it's short enough, I will. If not, you can, we can exchange contact information and we can talk offline, because I don't, you know, each of us have incredibly unique and personal experiences that I could probably talk with each one of you for over an hour on just what you guys have experienced and interpreting and interpreting and, you know, figuring out what it means exactly for you. What I will say is each of your experiences were your experiences. So think about what those things mean to you specifically before you go looking up what they mean. I always love to suggest that when you retrieve a power animal, don't look up the spiritual meaning of that power animal for at least 3 days. Sit with it, be with it, feel it, see what you think of it, because those beings chose to take on that particular animal form for you specifically because of something you needed specifically from that or about that animal. So 3 days, sit with it, think about it, and then go look it up and see what you get. So would anyone just absolutely love to share their experience? Okay, I see Jessica is raising her hand. So let's go with Jessica.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself. I'll go really quick so somebody else can go too. I had 2 come to me.
I knew that was going to happen. I knew somebody was going to get 2.
But it was very clear that like I had a Bengal tiger.
Mm-hmm.
She gave me her name and she stayed to the left of me the whole entire time and made it very clear that she was my female.
Yeah.
And then the other one was a green snake. No idea. I'm not a snake person at all. I don't know what kind it was, but it wrapped itself around my right hand and put its head in my palm and then stayed there.
Oh, okay. So snake in our tradition is related to the direction of the south, and snake is all about shedding your skin and releasing what no longer serves you. But then also the first thing that came to mind when you said it wrapped around your hand and put its head in your hand, the painting of the goddess of like healing is actually she's holding a saucer of some sort, like with incense in her hand. And then she also has a green serpent around her hand and with its head in her hand. So it could be a calling that you either are a healer or that you are called to healing or releasing something. But snake is very, in our tradition, it's very auspicious. So snake is it's a very positive power animal to have. Snake was the very first power animal I got. And I was the same way. I was like, I don't know. And now I'm like, I love snakes. It's weird.
I think, but it was also trying to say like, don't be scared. Like I'm going to lead you. Like I'm going to take your arm and lead
That's
you.
awesome. That's awesome.
I'm going to sit on that for a while.
Yes, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, would anybody else like to share?
Yeah, I have a question. Go ahead, Kayla, you go first.
Okay. So I thought my image was really interesting. It was hard for me to see at first, but when I finally saw myself, she was very disheveled. He was super disappointed, but let me.
Oscar was?
Yeah. And my power animal is a parrot with
Cool.
green, yellow, and orange. And he told me his name is Tom, and it's a male. I asked him how he was going to help me, and he said he was going to show me how to fly. So I don't know.
That's so cool. I love it. Oh,
yeah.
That's so cool. So do you feel like, and I'll probably ask all of you this, so spoiler alert, this is my question. Do you feel like it is appropriate for whatever's going on in your life right now, or?
I don't know. I really don't. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm skeptical. I don't know why in the hell would I come up with a parrot?
Right.
Like that and why would his name be Tom?
Right.
That's so ordinary, and I don't know. So, and I don't know.
Yeah, so I like it better when you don't know, because typically it'll make sense later.
Yeah.
And in the way this usually works, don't nail me on the wall to it, but the way this normally works, within the next few days or weeks, you're going to start to kind of understand. It's almost like an integration has to happen for some of us. Not for some of us, I think for all of us, where it's like you may even get the message right off the bat, but the energy of what you guys just experienced and did, and you took a gift from your power animal and put it into each of your chakras, you guys are going to start integrating that and things are going to become clearer. So hopefully Tom will explain himself to you later on. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Okay, so I'm here with a few other people.
Yes.
Don't worry, guys. And two of me and another person were very logical thinkers or Capricorns. So we went into we were going to have a hard time with it, right? So
Right.
I'm going to share my experience, and then she's not going to share hers, so I'm going to share hers for her because I'm no.
Cool.
So I had a really hard time. Like I could visualize, going down into the roots. I could visualize the bridge. I got to the open gates. I saw the king was very angry and disappointed. I brought him just one strawberry, and he kind of like just tossed it. When we left, he had like a little sarcastic smirk, like bye,
Yeah.
say bye, but he had like a little smirk. So anyway, so when I got there, like it opened up almost like a Lion King, and I'm kind of forcing this because you were like, okay, so we're here. And I'm like, nothing's happening. Shit. Okay. And then it was like, now call your spirit animal or power animal, and like nothing was coming. And unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know, I kind of knew this workshop before, so I kind of in mind what my spirit animal or power animal would be. So I just made it up and I created it. And then I could only visualize it for a little bit, and then it was gone. So my black snake kind of went into thinking it was going to be that. So I don't know if I disrupted consciousness. I'm not sure. And then he didn't have anything for me. He was just like wrapping all around me as black snake. First it was a guy, then it was a girl, and her name was Toto. I don't know if it was Toto because we talked about Wizard of Oz right before we did this. So, I don't know. It's like that weird, and I'm sure other people are experiencing that thing too, is like, is this real consciousness or is this me creating something?
Right.
And in essence, your creation is your consciousness. So it kind of goes hand in hand. And so then afterwards, he didn't really, or she didn't, it turned into a girl. She didn't really give me anything. So I kind of made her give me something, and she gave me just trust. So I put trust in each one of my chakras.
Cool.
And I was like just stuck though right at the gate. When you gave us time to go move around, I didn't move. I was just like staring at the snake, and it was really hard for me to leave. It was really hard.
Okay.
So, one other thing, when we looked in the mirror, nothing. Like I was trying so hard to see something. But as we started journeying back, it was like I almost wanted to go back because I felt like the picture of like a little girl, me as a little girl was there. And I just wanted to. So I don't know what that means, but that was my experience, that I was struggling with logic and letting go.
That's very cool. So people, when they feel stuck or feel like they're having difficulty or feel like they didn't get a message, like you still totally got a message. And it is like, it's funny when you kind of know what's going to happen, it does kind of like mess with your mind a little bit. And so that is the beauty of the journey. And that's why I said before, like, you're gonna get it in the coming days and weeks. Like there's no messing this up. And the reason I can say that is because there's been plenty of times where I'm like, I made that up for sure. I made that up. Like I had to have, or, it was because of this. Like my very first guide was Archangel Michael, and my boyfriend's name was Michael. And I was like, it must be because of that. But then other things will add up and it will make sense. So snake is a very, very powerful power animal. It's a very powerful archetype in general. But for it to give you trust is interesting, because when we move into the archetype or the point of view of snake, it's completely really releasing all emotions, all judgment, and just seeing the physical like for what it is. So snake is very much about seeing the hard facts and not really having any emotion about it. And sometimes it's hard for us to move out of snake because we have to move into the emotion of jaguar, which is the West. So maybe it's one of those things that you're going to start beginning to understand, maybe where you can release, or maybe where you're holding on to something, or where you feel stuck. Because typically when people feel stuck in the journey, they feel stuck somewhere else too. And the power animal that is coming to assist you in whatever that area is where you feel stuck.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And again, as all this stuff comes up too, ladies, I'd love to stay in contact with you. So if you have more questions that come up later about this stuff, message me. And I have super good boundaries, so I won't message you until I can. So don't ever feel like you're bothering me, because you're not, because I just won't respond until you're not.
We're all used to that. Same with me.
Yeah.
The other girl here, she only saw eyes. There was no
Okay.
hair, just eyes.
Cool.
Flashes of yellow.
Ooh, okay. So I would say meditate on that, sit with that, journey on that, but go again. Like, so do the same exact journey and do it again and call that power animal again. You received it. So even though you don't know what it is, because we received the gift, because we were there, it's yours now. So it's not like you didn't get it. You just don't know what it is yet. So that is for a reason. And so it may be that you need to sit with it a little bit longer, or there is a deeper message that you just wouldn't want to handle right now with a bunch of other people. Maybe it's something that you would want to handle on your own in the privacy of your own room or something like that, you know? So, but if you got anything at all, you got what you needed. Yeah. And anytime I see colors of light, like immediately I think of, okay, well, what chakra is that related to? So where is it that she needs to see what she's not able to see, that she knows in her personal power, right? Where in her gut does she feel like she needs to see more of? That's what I'm hearing. So does that help? I hope.
So, sorry, there's 4 people here. We're not just.
Cool. No, that's cool.
I'll go if I can.
Oh, she's good.
What's happening?
Oh.
Oh, Amanda, are you going? Go.
Well, I don't know. If someone else can go. I can't hear anything.
All right, you go ahead, Amanda, and we'll keep working our
Okay.
way around.
All right. So, like, literally, like, once I lay down to close my eyes, I found my place. It was in the woods. I was like a young girl.
Mhm.
And I was naked, and I had like markings on my face, like a little Indian.
Oh, wow.
And there was already a hawk flying above before you told us to look for
Okay.
the hawk.
Okay.
And then it was kind of a blur. I'm like going down the tunnel or whatever. But the guy at the crossing was a rabbit,
Okay.
but a big rabbit.
Uh-huh.
And I gave him an apple, and he was totally not impressed. He was like, "Yeah, okay, well, go ahead. You know, everyone brings me apples," kind
Yeah.
of something like that. And then it was kind of weird. Like, I'm standing there. Then I heard a tapping on my wall, so it kind of pulled me out of it a little bit. But
Okay.
there's nobody here. I'm home alone.
Okay.
So I was like, whatever. And I got back into it, and then I heard the tapping again. And then there was a wolf.
Okay.
But it was like a really soft, female, gentle wolf. And I asked if that was my power animal. And I don't think it was.
Okay.
But she was there. She was friendly. She didn't have anything for me.
Okay.
And then, like, I felt like my whole body, like, down my legs got shook.
Ah.
And
How long
then,
did this tree live?
10 years?
Okay.
Uh-oh, wait, why? Is there ghosts in here?
We'll talk offline.
No, because last night I had a freaky deaky moment. Stop it.
So
And then actually the last 2 nights I've had freaky deaky moments. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, stop it. My hair's on my arms are tingling.
when we do these kind of things, you guys, we start to notice other things. Like when you tap into your intuition, when you connect with your spirituality, when you begin to waken up these things, you just kind of automatically start to notice the other things that have always been there that you just haven't noticed.
Whoa.
But I mean, if you've been there for 10 years, it's not that big of a deal because you've been living with it for 10 years.
Yeah, but then, no, you're right. Absolutely. But I'm getting ready to move out. Like, I just got new renters, and I'm getting ready to, like, transition. And the last 2 nights, like 2 nights ago, there was my faucet. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. My faucet was dripping, and I'm like, maybe I'm just imagining it. And then I was doing homework last night, and all of a sudden my stove turned on. I'm in the kitchen, and the light started turning on. And I'm like, what the hell? And I just didn't think anything of it. And I told him, I'm like,
talk afterwards.
okay. All right.
All right. So now that we know everybody knows Amanda's got a ghost in her house.
Oh my God. A lady did pass away at my house.
Yeah, I'm kind of a weirdo and I love that stuff. So we could have a whole conversation on that.
Okay. All right.
All right. So anybody else want to share? Okay, go ahead.
So I was laying here, and as soon as I do visual meditation or whatever, and I always do the same thing. So I was there, but as soon as I got there, I felt someone rubbing my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
Thought it was you. Really? So I opened my eyes. Nobody was there. Nobody was there. It didn't stop. Like somebody like tickling my stomach.
Sam, we can't really hear you, Sam. Come closer.
I'm not on that one.
Just because it's so big. Okay. And then I got to the mirror, and it was like I was laying down, and all you could see was like just a portion of the top corner of my face.
Oh, interesting.
And then I didn't think that I could see myself, so I was afraid I couldn't get through the gate.
Uh-huh.
And I kept trying to turn, and I couldn't turn. And finally I did, but I couldn't see. Is it a king?
Yeah.
I couldn't see him. And he actually, I had daisies, and he came out, and like I never really saw him.
That's
Like,
okay. Yeah.
daisies, and he smiled. And he let me in.
Yeah, I was going to say he likes flowers.
Oh, oh, good. And I kept going down the path and to the waterfall. And so we were talking before, and I was saying that my dog would probably be my spirit animal.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I'm tackled by Max, my dog.
Oh.
And then I was like, well, that's just me putting shit in my head. So, but it ended up to be Charlie, a white dog. And he gave me a purple flower. And then it was like a really dark hole in the wall, like really kind of scary place. And all of a sudden we're in a field, in like a farm.
Uh-huh.
And a horse came up, May, and she gave me dice.
Oh, okay.
And so they both came back with me. So that was that.
That's awesome.
The rubbing thing.
So again, I think it's you guys probably already have people or beings with you. And when you begin to move your consciousness into these more receptive states, they take that as an opportunity to get your attention.
So it's funny, I'll make this really quick and unemotional, but I lost a baby. But I was meditating every morning. And the morning before I found out that I lost her, I was sitting in meditation, and I could feel like little kisses
Oh,
throughout my body. So Jackie had just mentioned she's so cute that somebody that she did it.
yeah. Yeah, typically if we have, so if the baby felt like you needed her to stay or to comfort or anything like that, and they're still attached or with you, or even have crossed over and come back, when we move into those more receptive states, they take that as the opportunity to make contact. Like I've been obsessed with, and I had no idea why, but I've been obsessed with like ghosts and mediumship and all of that my entire life. Before I even knew I had the ability to do it, I was obsessed with it. And when I started opening up my gifts, or when I even just started, meditating and getting into just being here and being conscious, I started noticing like all kinds of things that I realized afterwards I had maybe seen my whole life or heard my whole life or felt my whole life, but I wasn't conscious of it. And so by us taking these steps and doing journeys and working on our healing, we're almost like being like, okay, I'm ready. Let me know you're here, kind of thing.
Sorry.
All right. Does anyone else want to share? I think I saw Raquel maybe wanted to share.
Yeah.
Her too. Okay.
Hey.
Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, it was interesting. I didn't see the mirror.
Okay.
So I guess I just walked through that. I didn't feel like I missed something.
Okay.
I didn't see the king, but I knew he was there. I gave him corn. I have no idea where corn came from, but he took it, and I didn't see him clearly, but
Okay.
I did see a big hand extend and accept,
Mhm.
and then that was it. And I was looking for animals around me, and everything was dark, and then all of a sudden, towards my left, it was just like the size of a dog, but it was actually a cow.
Oh, wow. Oh,
That's weird. So she was
is that a miniature cow?
a little cow. Yeah, it was a little cow. So and she just stood on my left, and there was no, it was just like peaceful, very peaceful. I guess like she stood for peace, because I know that I felt peace with her there.
Mhm.
But what came zooming was a huge eagle, and he had a ring in his mouth,
Oh, wow.
and that's what he dropped. And he just kept circling around and kept circling around, and then that was it. But I didn't like go anywhere. The
Mhm.
cow was next to me the whole time.
Mhm.
It was weird, but
It sounds like one of those, another case of a double power animal. So typically the first thing, it was so funny before you even said that you felt like the cow represented peace to you. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, a cow, that's like the mother goddess, like that care, that love, you know, the ultimate like love and what's the word I'm looking for? Like all I can think about is like a mother cow and her calf, you know, like that ultimate
Mhm.
care. Nurture. My business.
nurture, yeah, caregiver.
She put her head around the corner and said, nurture. So, and then Eagle is all about connecting with your spirituality and your higher consciousness. So that he dropped a ring is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it
So,
was.
very cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for sharing. All right, we'll go back to the studio now.
Hi.
Hey.
So mine was a little different. I started at the beach.
Okay.
Like I followed Hawk out, so I started swimming out into the water, and then you told us to go down instead of like seeing tree branches. Like I was swimming down.
That's so cool.
Getting colder. I felt it. Ooh. And like at the bottom of I guess the floor, like the gate was going down. And the guy, I gave him a white shell, and he like did it, and we both.
Uh-huh.
And then I went down, and it was like a full circle going down, so like the waterfall was all around.
Oh, so
Big, long, white bridge. And I wrote down like I thought it was either bone or coral. It was like really intricate.
very cool.
When I moved into like the space, it was just like a big empty space. And there was just like one blue whale. Blue whale, but I realized like when I had looked in the mirror, like the mirror looked like the whale's eye. So I was like,
Oh, very cool.
and then when we came, like for some reason, before crossing the bridge, I was like, oh, look at all this sand. I like put sand in my pockets. I was like, oh, she said we can't bring anything with us. So I had to like strip all my clothes off. So I like back up through the gate with the whale and like saw the guy who was like naked. And then we came up. And like when I let go of the spirit animal, I like gave it like a kiss, and it like popped like a bubble.
Oh, cool. That is so cool. I've never had anyone retrieve a whale.
Wow.
Yeah. At least nobody tell me they retrieved a whale. That's very cool.
There's one whale. Yeah, there's just one whale.
And that's interesting too, that you had to take off your clothes to get out, because you know we go through the waterfall to make sure that we're not carrying anything that is going to weigh us down. So maybe you need to become a nudist. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe there's something that you think you really need, or maybe society or someone is telling you, or maybe it's a belief that you're holding on to that you need something. And this feels like societal related because of the clothing, like to us, right? Clothing, you need it. If you're not wearing it, it's immoral, or it's like a taboo, right? So maybe there's something, that a belief that you're holding on to, that if you let go of it, it would let you out of something. Yeah. So how is everyone? Does anyone else would like to share or have any questions before we start to wrap it up? I want to make sure everyone gets to talk if they wanted to talk. And if you don't, then that's cool too. I'm an ambivert, so I talk, and then after this, I won't talk for 3 days.
I'd like
No.
to share.
Please do.
Okay. I in the cave, I got kind of emotional. I was able to see myself in the mirror. I was like really like happy and like confident feeling and like dancing, which is kind of how I am. And then but then like the cave got kind of like really like dark. I wasn't able to really find like light, and I was kind of getting like stuck. Like I felt like I was like sinking into the mud, which is like very scary. And then, but then I was able to like come out of it. And then I went to the guard. He kind of looked official, but at first I had like a whole watermelon, but it didn't seem like that was working for some reason. So then it was like a slice of watermelon. I don't know. And then the open space, nothing was really coming at first, and then all of a sudden it was like very clearly a horse, like a large horse that was like, I feel like the color stood out the most, which was like black and white and like grays, like kind of like dappled.
Very cool.
And then we just kind of like, oh, there was a female, but I didn't really get like a name, and then kind of like flew off. And I feel like at some point the horse kind of had wings, but they weren't like always there.
Okay.
And
that's a thing.
Okay. And then also the gift thing kind of threw me off, but I feel like the horse gave me strawberries, but I don't. That felt odd.
What they give you in physical form isn't necessarily your gift. Okay. It's just the representation or the form that energy took for you. So maybe the strawberries represents the sweetness in life, just like maybe trust represented like letting go and fully, experiencing instead of overanalyze, whatever, so it doesn't necessarily, like, don't worry about it. She didn't just give you strawberries. You're cool. Okay. Yeah.
That felt kind of weird, like putting strawberries into my chakra.
Yeah, I bet. Thank you for following directions, though.
Yeah, I was trying.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. That's awesome. All right. So how's everybody else doing? Does anybody else want to share? Is everybody feeling good? Awesome. Okay. So I would just like to say then, you guys did amazing. None of you, there's no wrong or right way to do this. Like I've been saying, you're probably sick of me saying it now after 2 hours. I want you guys to do this on your own. I want you to do this practice again. It's only going to get better. It's only going to get more profound. Don't judge your journey tonight too harshly. Just take it for what it is. Read it over maybe once or twice again. Don't look anything up for the next 3 days. Let it kind of settle in and integrate, and then start looking stuff up if you want to. But really journaling on it will help, and journeying again will help. If you ladies have any problems, or you just want to connect and learn or ask more questions about what we went over this evening, please contact me. This is my passion. I love doing this, and I definitely plan on working with Jackie and Kula Yoga again. So hopefully we will be offering, more classes, and just thank you so much for allowing me to fulfill my purpose by assisting and empowering you to learn how to heal yourself. So congratulations, and pat yourself on the back for kind of showing up during a literal pandemic to kind of become your own self-healer. This is exactly what the world needs. We need more people who are willing to do this type of work. It's not all woo-woo. There is some real benefit behind it, and you all will be seeing that in the next coming days or weeks. So as the aha moments come, I encourage you to share with one another like what you're discovering and how it's coming up for you. Even some of you may like have an experience and then be like, holy crap, that's exactly what I saw in a flash in the journey when I was doing this or whatever. So it's going to be really amazing in how those show up for you. So if you would like to get in contact with me, you can do that in a couple different ways. I have an Instagram. It is _awakened woman, AWAKENEDWOMAN woman. And then I also have my Facebook, and that's Lauren Fu. My last name is THEW. So if you guys add me on Facebook as a friend, you can message me directly, or on Instagram, same thing. You can friend me and then message me directly, and I'll get back with you as soon as I can. I always get back with everyone. It's just if I'm not with a client or if I'm not personally taking care of myself. So you don't ever have to worry about like, oh, if it's in the middle of the night, or oh, if it's this or it's that, my phone's not going to be on anyways. So it's not going to bother me until I'm ready to touch and talk to people anyways. So I hope that this was incredibly healing for you all, and let me know if you have any questions. Let's see, how can we contact you? I'd love to talk a little bit more about my experience. Yes. So again, find me on Instagram, find me on Facebook, and we can talk there deeper. And then Jackie and I hopefully will be working on some more stuff to offer for you guys. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I love it. I love doing this. It's a blast. So alrighty, guys. Well, I love you all, and I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I hope to hear from you all soon. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, all right. So I can send the link. Hey guys.